Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala amma ba'd.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to request everybody to please move forward. And if you have brought your kids, they are making a lot of noise, please keep them here with you so that sisters can also enjoy the lectures. There are some boys who are playing outside. If they don't want to listen, they can go outside, they can play, but they have come here to listen to the lecture, so they should be sitting here with you. Nobody should be downstairs because they are wrestling there, they are fighting there, and sisters cannot enjoy. And they cannot understand, they cannot listen. So please have them with you here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What happened, MCNJ? You guys are not at the same energy level? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, looks like they're probably hungry for their dinner now. Khair inshallah. So today, as you guys have probably saw from the flyer, that the topic for today is the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. But today I'm going to give a small twist to the story. Generally speaking, different scholars and different shuyukh have given the lectures about it, but it's generally in a more of like a tafsir form, and it's just like a general form. But today I want to change it a bit by analyzing the whole story through the lens of a young person. I believe if many of us have attended college in the United States and you've taken the humanities courses in your first and second year of college, which many Desi parents say that these courses are not that good anyway, but anyway, khair inshallah. In those courses, they start to teach you about the four different lenses, right? You have the natural sciences lens, you have the humanities lens, you have the applied sciences, you also have the history lens. What they're trying to teach you is that there are different angles, different viewpoints, different vantage points from where you can see different things. For example, if one brother is sitting here, his vantage point is different towards me than the brother sitting in front of me, right? So, inshallah, the idea for this new topic is to analyze the story of Yusuf alayhi salam through the lens of a young person. Because young people, generally speaking, they tend to have what you would call lower threshold, and they have what you would call a volatile temperament, right? Like very quickly, they would probably get angry or get frustrated that something is just not working out for me. That's it. This is the end of this. I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna stop doing this and stuff like that, right? So again, inshallah, the goal is to try to analyze the story, and obviously the story is pretty long, so I'll try my best, whatever I can do in the few minutes that we have tonight, inshallah, that I try my best to cover that, and whatever is left, inshallah, we can probably do that in the foreseeable future, inshallah. So let us begin, inshallah, with the best story in the Quran, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين إذ قال يوسف لأبيه إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبتي إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He starts off Surah Yusuf by the broken letters. Does anyone know what the broken letters are? That's fine. Alif Lam Mim, okay, they're the broken letters. Does anyone know their meaning, brother? No? Who knows their meaning? Only very few people said Allah knows. Yes, Allah knows, right? And can anyone tell me, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal these broken letters in the Quran? There's a wisdom behind it. Let's see who knows this question. It's a tough one, I know, but
حروف اللغة العربية.
لغة العربية, نعم, but why did they?
The Arabic language of the Quran.
Okay, well, yeah. The question is that why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal the broken letters throughout the Quran? What is the wisdom about it?
Learn.
Connection? To learn? Yes? To keep? Alright, well, the real answer is that in Quraysh, in Mecca, they had what you would call vibrant culture of poetry. Now, right? Of having different types of poetry. So they would generally challenge the Prophet ﷺ that, you know what, this is what you've made by yourself, وَلَا بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنْ وَلَا بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ, this is all what you're doing by yourself. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you know what, I'm going to reveal some of the ayahs of the Quran as a broken letter to check and test the Quraysh, to see if they really know the meanings of these letters, but obviously they don't know. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will later on, most likely on the Day of Judgment or probably in Jannah, reveal the meanings of these huruf al-muqatta'at. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off with that, and then He goes on to say that tilka ayatul kitab al-mubin, that this is the book, the clear book that we have. And then right after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that, why He revealed the Quran in Arabic. He says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, so that you can understand. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in Arabic was so that it could be easy for us to understand it. Now, generally speaking, those students of knowledge who go on to learn Arabic, and when they start reading the Quran, it becomes very easy for them to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. So, and after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we relate to you the best story. نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ أَحْسَنَ الْقَصَصِ بِمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ, that this is the best story that we have revealed to you in the Quran. Because it is that one surah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. He goes through all of the sequences, all of the levels, and also ends the story in the same surah. Because generally speaking, in other places in the Quran, the stories of such as like Musa alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, it has been narrated in bits and pieces, like it has been revealed. So this is one surah where everything has been revealed from basically from start to finish. So that is one thing to keep note of. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further mentions that Yusuf alayhi salam, he sees a dream, and his dream, right after he sees the dream, he goes to his father, Yaqub alayhi salam, and he says that, oh my father, I have seen that there are essentially 11 stars and the sun and moon, and they are prostrating to me. Now, Yaqub alayhi salam is a prophet at this time, and Yusuf alayhi salam is just a small boy. But Yaqub alayhi salam knew that this son of his, when he grows up, he will go on to become a special son. And now this is also very important in terms of parenting as well. Yaqub alayhi salam, as generally we've come to know from the different narrations and books, that essentially he had 2 wives, and that the second wife actually passed away earlier than his first wife. Alright, now his second wife was the mother of Yusuf alayhi salam, and in the future she goes on to become the mother of Binyamin. We're going to talk about Binyamin later in the story because that's more towards the end of the story. So Yaqub alayhi salam, he already had 11 sons from his first wife. Now these sons, they were mostly involved in like farming and like agriculture and different things like that, doing the hard manual labor. Now Yusuf alayhi salam, he was kind of pretty much given that soft spot, that soft corner from himself, and obviously when you have that in a family, this generally brings about jealousy in the brothers. And so Yaqub alayhi salam, right immediately after he heard from Yusuf alayhi salam about the dream, he said, قَالَ يَا بُنَيْ, that, oh my dear son, لَا تَقْصُصْ رُؤْيَاكَ عَلَى إِخْوَتِكَ, that don't tell this dream to your brothers, إِخْوَتِكَ فَيَكِيدُوا لَكَ كَيْدًا, because they're going to probably plot and plan against you. And inna shaytana lakum aduwwun mubin, that basically shaitan is your open enemy. Alright? Now this happens, this is going on, and so Yusuf alayhi salam, he did not tell about the dream to his brothers. Okay? But what happened was that due to this special treatment, right, this is basically what you would call filling the other young brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam with jealousy and with basically about like negative emotions and feelings, right? Now this is where we would basically pause for this 1 second, basically pause for a few minutes and talk more about the lens that I was talking about in the earlier portion of this lecture. So if you analyze from Yusuf alayhi salam's point of view, he's a small boy, probably like 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, right? And so he saw this dream. He doesn't understand what it is at this time because even Yaqub alayhi salam didn't tell him what the interpretation of his dream is, right? And so his other brothers are actually much elder than him, right? And Yaqub alayhi salam has told Yusuf alayhi salam, don't tell this dream to your elder brothers. So from Yusuf alayhi salam's point of view, he doesn't understand why his father is telling him, right? Because even though he did say that, they may just plot and plan against you. But if you think from Yusuf alayhi salam's perspective, he would probably think that why would his brothers plot and plan against him, right? I mean, it's okay, we can understand that, okay, they're step-brothers, but still, they're living in the same household and basically their day-to-day activities are pretty much the same. But why is Yusuf alayhi salam being told not to share his feelings with his stepbrothers? Right? So this is one point to analyze. Now, obviously, this is something that we also need to, I would say, analyze in our daily lives here as well. That this is actually going out to the young children. That if your parents are telling you not to do something, instead of questioning, why Baba, why Mama, why shouldn't I do this, why shouldn't I basically do X, Y, Z, just obey them. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Baqarah, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. You listen to them and you obey them, right? Because obviously there is some type of wisdom in whatever your parents are telling you to do, correct? Now, let's go on the flip side. Let's go to the perspective of Yusuf alayhi salam's step-brothers, right? Now, obviously they are 11 in number, right? So obviously they are 11 in number and they have a big group. And these are very strong men because as I mentioned earlier that they're also doing agricultural work, they're working in the farm throughout the day and they're doing all of this manual work. Now this essentially is going to cause them those negative feelings to actually harbor within them. And so if you think from their perspective, they don't know about this dream at this point, right? Because it was just a secret between Yaqub alayhi salam and Yusuf alayhi salam. But they already could tell that something is going on. That our father, he loves Yusuf more than us. That our father, he's giving Yusuf the special treatment. Like for example, if we're doing some work, then we're not basically appreciated for it that much. But when Yusuf alayhi salam does it, then he's appreciated much greatly than us. So this is something that they were probably speculating in that perspective. Now, moving forward into the story, what happens is essentially that they say that, we should just essentially plan to assassinate Yusuf alayhi salam. Because if there's no Yusuf, then Yaqub alayhi salam will not even think about him, and there's not going to be any problem between us and him, and we can then become good people later on. Now, the eldest brother of this group, he was, in different narrations it's mentioned that he was pretty much a very big sympathizer with Yusuf alayhi salam. And he wanted his best to keep Yusuf alayhi salam safe from all of these trials or tribulations, from all of these fitan of what Yusuf alayhi salam's stepbrothers were going to do. So he said, قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ لَا تَقْتُلُوا Yusuf. He said, don't basically kill him. وَالْقُوا فِي غَيَابَةِ الْجُبِّ. Let's just throw him in a well. So probably someone would come, he would take him, and essentially, we would just get rid of Yusuf alayhi salam. So this is something that the eldest brother this is what he was trying to do. Now, this also shows us that between siblings, now obviously these are step brothers, but still there is that connection of love. There is that connection of compassion, of shafqa and rahma, and all of those good qualities that we are always trying to instill in our own children, in our own families. But over here we see that even though that this brother of his is actually a stepbrother, but still he doesn't want Yusuf alayhi salam to be killed. Okay? Now they start with the planning. They say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to plan a play date, okay? And we're going to go out for lunch and also have a play date, do some racing in the valley, and we're going to go near this well, and this is what we're going to do. And in order for us to show that Yusuf alayhi salam is killed, we're going to take his shirt off. We're just going to slaughter a sheep or like a ram or something like that, and we're going to use that blood to put it on the shirt and just show that to Yaqub alayhi salam. Now, what's really interesting is this is all happening in that first page of Surah Yusuf, okay? And so when they come to Yaqub alayhi salam and they say that, أرسله معنا غدا يرتع ويلعب وإنا له لحافظون, that send Yusuf with us, right? We're going to go have some lunch, ghada, right? It's called lunch. And yal'ab, we're going to play with him. We're going to enjoy, probably play some type of games. And وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ, we're going to take care of him. We're going to be his protector. Still, Yaqub alayhi salam knew that something's fishy, something is going on. So from his perspective, obviously as a father, he's saying that قَالَ إِنِّي لَيَحْزُنُنِي أَن تَذْهَبُوا بِهِ وَأَخَافُ أَن يَأْكُلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. That I personally have this sadness, have this fear, that when you guys go, then probably you will leave Yusuf alayhi salam behind and you'll be busy in your playing in your games, and a wolf will come and eat Yusuf alayhi salam. Right? وَأَنْتُمْ عَنْهُ غَافِلُونَ, and you will be unaware about that. So these brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they tell him that, we are known as Usba, وَنَحْنُ عُصْبَةٌ. Now, Usba means like a strong pack, like a strong group of men. And what they're basically saying is that, قَالُوا لَإِنْ أَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ وَنَحْنُ عُصْبَةٌ إِنَّا إِذًا لَخَاسِرُونَ. That if Yusuf alayhi salam is being basically killed by a wolf, he's being eaten up by a wolf, then even with us being this Usba, being this strong group that we are, and if we're not able to do that, then essentially we will be the true losers. So basically, they try to lure in Yaqub alayhi salam by telling him that, we want to take out Yusuf alayhi salam for this play day. We're going to go for some games and fun and some lunch, and we want to go out. Yaqub alayhi salam is giving his own, what you would call his preconceived idea that, this is something that's going to happen probably later on, that probably a wolf will come and eat it. Now this is where, if we can analyze from the perspective of the stepbrothers, they were so shrewd and smart that they actually used this same idea. They used the same words as well later on to tell Yaqub alayhi salam that, a wolf comes and he ate him, and we were just playing around. We were unaware of what was going on. So this comes to tell you that when you have what you would call, within a family, there are always going to be those types of people who are much smarter than others, who are probably much shrewder than others. And they know how to make things their way, which is why they know how to manipulate the whole situation. Yusuf alayhi salam, even at this point, he is just a young, innocent, sweet boy, right? He doesn't know what all of this quote-unquote family politics is going on. Right? Isn't this family politics? You're just thinking about, just because Yaqub alayhi salam gives him, the good treatment, we should get rid of him, kill him, throw him in a well, make sure like a wolf eats him up, just get rid of him just so that we can be the beloved to Yaqub alayhi salam. Now, they go on for this feast, and Yusuf alayhi salam is believing his brothers, right? Because obviously, if you tell a 7, 8-year-old or 9-year-old boy that, hey, you want to go for a play date or for some lunch, obviously if he's free on a Saturday or Sunday, he'll say, yes, I will go. Okay, that's fine. So he's going. He doesn't know what's going to happen, right? And so the brothers have fully plotted everything down to the T, right? So they plotted everything down. They know what they're gonna do. They know basically the whole sequence of events, like the whole screenplay for them is all written. They know what's gonna happen. So they take Yusuf alayhi salam, and essentially what they do is they directly just throw him in the well, and they take his shirt off because they want to slaughter a sheep and use that blood to show Yaqub alayhi salam that a wolf ate Yusuf alayhi salam. And what happened is that this is his shirt, and this is the blood stains on here are actually of Yusuf alayhi salam. So they go back home. So again, this happened during the daytime, as it's mentioned that ghada means a lunchtime. So probably after dhuhr time, around asr time, they had this, and then they go back. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. That they go back around Isha time and they start to cry. يَبْكُونَ, that they're crying, and they're saying that قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا إِنَّا ذَهَبْنَا نَسْتَبِقُ وَتَرَكْنَا يُوسُف. That our father, we took Yusuf with us, but we were actually racing. قالوا يا أبانا إنا ذهبنا نستبق وتركنا يوسف عند متاعنا. That we actually put Yusuf in charge of our belongings. Think about this for a second, about how manipulative these brothers are. They're saying that we made Yusuf in charge of our belongings. So he's taking care of whatever probably basket or whatever food things they had. So they made him in charge, not any other brother took the charge. This is again just to show that whatever they had planned, they were going to do it, but this is just was like a loophole around it. Like just to say that, we put Yusuf alayhi salam in charge, and then we just went on in our own business. وَتَرَكْنَا يُوسُفَ عِنْدَ مَتَاعِنَا فَأَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. And when we put Yusuf in charge of our belongings, then he was eaten up by a wolf. فَأَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. Now the next portion of this verse, this is like as if it's, someone comes to you. For example, probably this may happen if you go to like a mechanic, or, if he's trying to make more money off of you. He would say that, customer, I tried my best to, fix your car, but even if you don't think I fixed your car, then, I don't really care about it because I just tried my best. What they're saying is, the brothers in this verse, they say, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا وَلَوْ كُنَّا صَادِقِينَ. That if you think to us to be believers, or if you don't think to us to be believers, like if you think that we are believers, we are telling the truth, that's fine. If not, even that's fine. So essentially, they themselves, Yusuf alayhi salam's step-brothers, they are telling Yaqub alayhi salam essentially that they're lying pretty much. Because even if Yusuf alayhi salam is eaten by a wolf, obviously the shirt that Yusuf alayhi salam was wearing, there must be some types of like rips or tears in the shirt, right? I mean, you can't have like a whole solid shirt which just has like bloodstains on it, and there are no marks of at least a wolf or probably of him biting in that shirt, right? Now let's pause here for a couple of minutes as well and think about from the perspective of Yusuf alayhi salam, right? Like he thought it was going to be a nice fun day, he's going out, he's going to enjoy some lunch, and he's going to play some games. But what actually happens is that he's in a well, he's being thrown down in a well, and his brothers, they took his shirt off as well, right? And obviously, so how many of you guys have actually seen a well? Let's see. Okay. Alright, so you know that it's like very deep, right? It goes down in the ground, like at least 50, maybe 100, sometimes even 200 feet down in the ground. So it's not like that Yusuf alayhi salam could probably climb up if he wants to. That's not even like a chance, right? So now what happens is that Yusuf alayhi salam, he's there, he's thinking that, like he never thought negative. Like he never thought any negative thought about his stepbrothers, yet still they are the ones who plotted this whole plan just so that they could get rid of him, right? And they could become closer to their father. Okay? Now, if you think from like a high school or college student's perspective, if he would be in that situation, what would he be saying? Obviously, we have different people on different levels of Iman. If someone is higher in Iman, he would still be relying on Allah and saying that, this is a test from Allah, but, I'll try my best to persevere and just, be patient at this moment. But if there's someone who is actually on a lower level of iman, do you think he's going to be like thinking or having this, perception that he would probably be saved from that well? Do you think that's possible? No, right? He would probably be saying, number one, why me, ya Allah? Why me? You would be saying that, even I was the one obeying my parents' order, but still, you are the one who brought me in the well. Like, basically saying these things of kufr, right? Disbelief. Because, as we say that, everything good and everything bad that happens in our life, it is actually from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is also predestined, right? It is in our destiny that these things are going to happen, right? But obviously, if we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and especially we're giving lots of charity and other things, then obviously those, bad accidents or bad things in our future can be changed, right? But again, if you come to Yusuf alayhi salam and you're thinking about this, especially from a youngster's perspective, right? And what's very shocking is that even many Muslim youth, right? Again, talking about high school and college, maybe even middle school, I'm not sure about those stats, but at least for high school and college, we can say that when generally young people go through a very tough situation which shatters their iman, which breaks them, well, all what they're pretty much thinking is that, probably just suicide is my best way out, right? Without considering that, all right, like right now you're going through this phase of hardships and trials and tribulations, right? But that doesn't mean that your whole life is going to be about trials and tribulations, right? I mean, there's many stories, many different people within the US, even in Muslim countries abroad, right? Where the high school student or the university student, he failed in his exam. He was being kicked out of the university, so he said, you know what? Instead of me facing my parents, let me just commit suicide. Na'udhu billah, astaghfirullah. Again, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, this is something to realize and to also bring up, right? You need to talk about this with your kids, that hey, my son, my daughter, no matter what happens, remember your life is from Allah. And remember that I am always there for you, right? Our number one supporters in this life are our parents. No matter what happens in our life, no matter if we're going through the good days or if we're going through the bad days, which some of our youngsters say that, I'm living through hell and I'm going through misery and stuff like that. We should not be saying these types of words because we don't even know what Jahannam is like, right? So we should not be saying that I'm going through a living hell, right? So obviously, if you're going through hardship, you're going through different trials and tribulations, this is a part of our life in this dunya. And again, there are many verses in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. If you break down this word, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ, it comes from the root word of bala. What does bala mean? A test, a trial, a tribulation. And so this life is a test. Obviously, hard times will come. And this also goes to say to the parents that, please, that if your son or daughter, if they fail a test in school, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's not like you go to your child and keep saying, I can't even show my face in public and this and that and blah, blah, blah. These are more exaggerations. Every single child has their own ability to study and do their best, right? Now, this is why this tangent is also very important. That we need to work upon the iman of our children. Because if the kids are weak in their iman, if they are, have that shaky iman, which is not that strong, that sometimes it may go up, sometimes it may go really down, and they may just, run away from the deen. This is something that we need to talk to them about, and also make sure that we're instilling within them from a very young age about iman, about Allah's beauty, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's characteristics. Because the more we know, then that is going to help the children maneuver through their life and essentially be able to move on through these difficult situations. Because again, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Inshirah, that فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, right? That indeed after hardship comes ease. Okay? And to go in a small further tangent, why do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Surah Yusuf and Surah Hud and Surah Ibrahim and all these other surahs about the prophets in Mecca? Can anyone tell me? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal all of these stories about the previous nations to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was in Mecca? Yes.
So we can learn the people learn how the previous people tortured.
Okay, people learn how the previous people served. Okay, any other answer? Yes. Oh yeah, you didn't have your hands. Okay. So any other answer that someone would like to give? Okay. Khair inshallah. So the main reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is revealing these different stories, the answer is in the Quran, in Surah Hud. In the last page of Surah Hud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. That we are revealing to you these stories of different prophets to strengthen your heart, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right? And the main reason for that is that when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was living in Mecca and going through that hardship time, right, of 13 years, giving da'wah, talking to the people of Quraysh, seeing, different slaves of the Muslims being beaten day in, day out, and also seeing the first martyrs of Islam, Yasir radiallahu anhu and Sumayya radiallahu anha. This is very, very traumatizing for him. So the main reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these stories was to strengthen the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and trying to tell him that da'wah is not easy. That giving this, what you would call invitation of Islam to others is not a piece of cake. It is something which requires a lot of patience. It is something which requires a lot of effort and also being resilient. That you don't just, shy away after if you have one bad conversation with some brother or, someone. So this is something that we need to also understand. That in our life, different things will come up. But we need to be strong, and we also need to be showing that resiliency at the same time. So obviously, Yusuf a.s. is in the well, right? And he's thinking about what's going to happen to him, and he doesn't know what's going to happen, right? This is his part of the story. Now let's go to the brothers very quickly. So they say to their father that, we basically lost him and this and that. So he said, basically, Yaqub alayhi salam, he knew that this was going to happen, and now his fear became a reality, right? So this is why, this is a small hint, especially for the parents, that if you know that there's probably some mischief going on in the house, and probably, some appliance or maybe something in the house might break, it's better to stop that activity than later when your kids come to you and say, oh, father, something broke in the house, now you have to fix it, right? So obviously, everyone should be allowed to play in the house, but you need to set some ground rules about stuff like that, just so that your fear doesn't become a reality, right? So this is what happens, and then the brothers are happy that, we accomplished our mission, we're done, it's like as if they just, completed their mission, so that now they're just happy with their life. And they think that now their life is just going to be a bed of roses. In reality, it's actually not that, but, this is just their own notion that they're having. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentions that وَجَاءَتْ سَيَّارَةٌ فَأَرْسَلُوا وَارِدَهُمْ فَأَدْلَى دَلْوَهُ قَالَ يَا بُشْرَى. That then a caravan is passing by the well, and so two people, they go to get some water. So they put the water pail down in the well, and so they bring it back up and they say, قَالَ يَا بُشْرَى. He says, hey, glad tidings, good news. What's up? هَذَا غُلَامٌ. We have. What happens is that these people who are of the caravan, okay, so this is what's going on. Now again, if we come to that same perspective as I was talking about earlier, Yusuf alayhi salam, if you again begin to analyze from his own perspective, he's thinking, I was just in a well, my brothers have left me, my father is far away from me, right? And now he's being taken to this unknown land, right? And he's going to be sold off as a slave right? Which is like the lowest of the low class of society in that time. Because obviously you're a slave, that means you don't really have, basically any rights in that sense. Like obviously you would be given some food and shelter and like clothing, but you don't have any rights just like as a free man, okay? And so what happens here is that Yusuf a.s. goes to Egypt. Now, from where Yaqub a.s. was living, it is said that it's generally close to the areas of, like Jordan and Palestine and like all those areas. So it's close to that area. So that is where they were living. So from there, if you look even on the map, so Egypt, especially Cairo and Alexandria, was like the big cities at the time. So it was much easier to get to Egypt from there. So anyway, they get to Egypt. And again, this is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? His planning. And we all are aware that Yusuf a.s. later on goes on to become the finance minister of Egypt. And a couple of years after that, he actually goes on to become the Aziz, the king, the ruler of Egypt, right? So if you imagine for 1 second, if Yusuf a.s. never left his home, and his brothers never deserted him and threw him in the well, and whatever all of this happened, if it never happened, do you think that Yusuf a.s. would become the king of Egypt? No? Why? Why do you think he won't become the king of Egypt if he would just stay with his family? You can say louder, yeah?
I feel like his father would have guarded him from the outer world.
His father would have got him from the outer world? What do you mean?
He would have protected him.
Okay.
Protected him.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't get when he gets older, probably he'll get a taste of what the world really is.
It's going to be tough for that specific child. But later on, when that person reflects upon his past, he will say that, you know what, even though that was a tough time for me, but that taught me a lot of things about the world which I did not know. And so now I am much more better equipped and I have more experience in how to deal with those types of things. Right? It's because Yusuf a.s. is dealing with strangers and now he's going to Egypt. And this is also from his luck that he was sold off to one of the Aziz, one of the rulers, like the minister. He was the one who bought him. So he actually went to a very nice and lavish household. Right? So that is just something to be thought about in that sense. So actually we'll stop here right at this moment, right when Yusuf a.s. goes to Egypt. We'll stop here for today, inshallah. And we'll basically open up the floor for some Q&A. And again, for Q&A, let's just stick to the topic of the lecture and anything, whatever I've said in the lecture. So if anyone has any questions, inshallah, you can feel free to start asking them. That's fine, inshallah, no problem. Inshallah, so if that's the case, then we can end here and we'll just make a quick dua and then we'll end, inshallah. اللهم انت السلام وانت السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والاكرام اللهم اعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم احسن عاقبتنا في الامور كلها واجرنا من خزي الدنيا عذاب الاخره اللهم انا نسالك العفو والعافيه والمعافاه الدائمه في الدنيا والاخره ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك وبك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك وصلى اللهم وصل على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.